Firewise USA zones are a critical part of creating an effective firescape. Firewise USA zones outline areas around the home where specific plant spacing, landscape structures, and fuel breaks are recommended. These recommendations are based on decades of research examining home and landscape ignition. In most of this video, we will be drawing from Firewise USA and Living with Fire program resources. Please visit the Firewise USA and Living with Fire websites to learn more. I'd like to review or introduce a few important definitions before we get started. Fuel. Fuel is anything that burns. So that could be a plant, mulch, a house, play structure. Next, fuel break. A fuel break is an area with no fuels or lower flammability fuels. When a fire moves across a fuel break, it slows down considerably or is halted altogether at the fuel break. So some examples of a fuel break are a maintained lawn, a sidewalk, a dry riverbed. That's just a few examples. This slide displays all three Firewise USA zones and their spacing. On this slide, we see that 3 zones surround the home. The first zone, the space between the red line and the home, is called the immediate zone. This zone is aptly named as it occurs immediately next to the home, extending 0 to 5 feet out from all sides of the home. If a porch or deck is on the back side of the home, the immediate zone begins at the outer edge of the porch or deck. The next zone is called the intermediate zone, which is the area 5 to 30 feet out from all sides of the house, or the space between the red and orange lines on the image. The orange line is the outside border of the intermediate zone. The last zone, the extended zone, is the area 30 to 100 feet out from the house and is the space between the orange and the green line, with the green line being the outside edge of the extended zone. Looking at the entire image on the slide, you may notice that the density of vegetation increases with distance from the house. For example, the immediate zone contains no vegetation, the intermediate zone contains widely spaced trees and shrubs, and the extended zone contains a higher density of closer spaced trees and shrubs. Let's now examine each Firewise USA zone more closely. As mentioned, the immediate zone is closest to the home or 0 to 5 feet from the home, which is the most vulnerable place a home can ignite from wildfire. We want to keep a wildfire from burning up to the home, and so controlling fuels in this zone is very important. Firewise USA recommends removing most flammable fuels within the zone, including natural mulches or organic mulches, also including foundation shrubs and trees. However, low-growing succulents and some herbaceous plants, as well as lawn, are acceptable if they are well maintained. We will discuss what sort of maintenance is important in a later video. Non-flammable mulches are recommended for the immediate zone, and these include decomposed granite or gravel and sidewalks and/or beds with non-flammable mulch provide important fuel breaks. The intermediate zone extends 5 to 30 feet from the home, which is also an important zone for disrupting the path of fire and keeping it from burning up to the home. For this zone, limited vegetation is still recommended, but single specimens or groups of trees and shrubs can be planted with wide spacing. This zone recommends utilizing a well-watered and mowed lawn as a fuel break, with the lawn being equal to or less than 4 inches in height. Driveways also usually occur in some part of this zone, also serving as fuel breaks. The drip line of trees or the outer edge of the canopy in this zone are recommended to be 10 feet or more from the home. This is an important consideration when planting a new tree in this zone, to think about how close the mature canopy of the tree will be to the home. Landscape beds and grass should be moist and well maintained. Organic mulches can be used in this zone, but a thin mulch layer is recommended. The extended zone occurs in the area 30 to 100 feet from the home. 100 feet out from the home is the recommended defensible space distance on mostly level ground. For this zone, limited vegetation is still recommended, but single specimens or clusters of trees and shrubs can be spaced closer together than in the intermediate zone. It is recommended to create fuel breaks between plants or groups of plants. This could be a well-maintained lawn. Any lawn in this zone should be maintained at a 4-inch or less height, same as the intermediate zone. Ground litter or mulch can be used in this zone, but areas of heavy ground litter should be minimized. To prevent flammable ladder fuels, remove evergreen trees like pines and cedars between mature trees. Also remove all dead plants in this area. This is a zone where landscape structures are usually recommended to be located, but they should also be carefully maintained. Homeowners and communities may also want to consider managing landscapes beyond 100 feet out from a residence or a neighborhood to decrease fire risk over a larger area and create a wider buffer around the home or community. The goal is not to eliminate surrounding fuels and vegetation, but to reduce the amount of fuels in the surrounding landscape that could be a source of embers or lead a fire up to a property. Communities may opt to thin trees or use prescribed fire to minimize fuels. Mowing, grazing, herbicide use, and mulching are other ways to reduce heavy fuel accumulation in surrounding forest or range landscapes. Working with surrounding landowners, city managers, or state or federal forestry agencies may be helpful in reducing fuels at the community level. Fire moves faster upslope by preheating the fuel ahead of the fire and causing it to ignite easier. As a result, homes built on a slope are at greater risk to fires moving upslope, and so a larger area of defensible space is recommended, extending the intermediate zone up to 100 feet instead of 30 feet. Overall, creating approximately 150 to 200 feet of defensible space on the slope below the house is essential for reducing the chance of home ignition. Also, if possible, it is best for a home to be set back 15 to 30 feet from a slope edge to have more defensible space above the slope and to build decks with non-flammable materials. The above-mentioned defensible space calculator can be used to provide some indication of the maximum amount of defensible space a homeowner should have on a particular slope. When you go to the web page, click on the Defensible Space Calculator button. Though this calculator is for Nevada residents, it can still be used for southeastern homes.